Good Saturday morning to you guys. I hope you're doing well. I know that this is not something that happens often, but when the community gives something positive, and you are the community, I love to give back. And so I had gotten comments, incredible comments, one in particular, that it was very necessary for all of you to hear. It's probably the most logical. It's filled with fact, which I love. There are other comments that we'll touch on after, but this one I actually put in the title because she deserves absolute acknowledgement. So what I want to do is, it has to do with boats being used in creeks and rivers. And in case you didn't get to see her response, I'd like to read it to you. It's quite long, but bear with me because it's chock full of information. Okay. Now, this one is the one that comes from Susan Lee. And she writes, "For all who question if a boat could have carried someone and Mica's body 1 or more miles up the creek, I'm not giving my opinion. This is fact, based on my own experience. When first married, we bought an 18-inch wooden sailboat. It was approximately 6 feet wide. We sailed the boat in all kinds of water from high mountain lakes to Puget Sound. The boat had a shallow draft and a swing keel. For this reason, we could take the boat into extremely shallow water with 2 adults and 3 teenagers aboard. We had this boat in less than 2 feet of water. When we ran into a sandbar in the sound, all we had to do was pull up the keel and float it over top of the sandbar because it had a shallow draft. I know the depth, and we checked it when it happened. Kayaks, I searched the amount of water they need to float and navigate, as well as weight limits. Most kayaks only need 3 to 6 inches to float, carrying the full weight limit, usually 300 to 400 pounds. You may need 3 to 4 few feet to use the paddles fully with oars, but you can use oars along the bottom to navigate through the water quickly in a very shallow water and less than 1 foot of water to move quickly with a small trolling boat. Mica weighed approximately 130 to 140 pounds, so even a 250-pound person could have taken her through the creek easily by kayak. 12 to 16-foot skiffs and john boats searched as well, and the draft for them is 3 to 8 inches, width 3 to 6 feet, and weight capacity 500 to 1,200 pounds. Johnny Jacobs said one of his boats was like a john boat. If you search Carolina skiff, they are boats for sale as well as plans for building them yourself, made specifically for marshy waters of the area. Nearly all of them up to 16 feet have a 3 to 4 inch draft. Any type of small skiff or john boat could have easily been used to move Mica's body through a creek and to stage everything along the bank. Moving Mica's body by some type of small boat would have been the easiest way to get Mica's body to where she was placed with the best chance of avoiding attention. The creek isn't visible by satellite, and as seen on CJ's video with narc divers, You can see out of the growth along the area. However, it's virtually impossible for people to see in. Anne has proven by the phone GPS pings when they pinged her phone 2 separate times, both times her phone was in the area of the creek. Anne not only has the most viable explanation of any creator who has researched Mica's case, it also makes the most sense. Susan Lee, God bless you. God bless you, girl. You just nailed it. You nailed it. And because you have experience and actual full understanding, because you have done this yourself, you fully explained it for me, and I have to say thank you. Sometimes when you get so close to the truth, everybody comes to attack you. And the attack got very strong when we found the creek. So obviously, we came very close to the truth. Now, of course, you always have to have a flying monkey. It just never fails. Now, if you remember, if you were in my live yesterday morning and it was pre-coffee, and I have to stop doing that. I'm drinking coffee as we have this show this morning, which is probably safer. I want to read to you what she said. I'm not going to give your name because it's not even worth giving out her name. But she's, a troublemaker. She's the one that I called out. But I am going to read to you the response and give you the name because it was also a beautiful response. So this flying monkey writes, at least Barbara calls BS when she hears it. You haven't stopped running your mouth about others. I will defend Agatha when you talk BS about her or anyone else. Have the day you deserve. That's what she wrote me. Jenny Scho, JENNINSCHO, 1980, had wrote her back. People can disagree respectfully, and I enjoy both Anne and Agatha May, but please stop stirring up trouble. Barbara doesn't need you to come to her defense, so there is no need creating or looking for drama when there is none. Anne does not talk BS about her or anyone else. She speaks the truth, and that rattles people, and her delivery isn't flowery and pretty as some, but I find it refreshing. Life isn't pretty. The passive-aggressive cliche, have the day you deserve, is so overused, don't you think? I genuinely wish you a peaceful day. Another fabulous response. And yes, she's absolutely right. I am not flowery in my delivery. I will never blow smoke where you guys are concerned. Obviously, this FM doesn't get with the program when I said don't come into my comments and, leave any of these comments about protecting the one you idly worship. I don't want to hear it. So I said Agatha May lovers, Robbie Harvey lovers, keep it to yourself. But of course, this one had to be heard. This is a person who's probably miserable at home. And so she has to spread misery. She will not be doing that any longer in the channel, but I will leave it for you if you'd like to read it and give your 2 cents. Why not? Sometimes it's better to give consequence. They want the attention. They don't care if it's negative or positive. Well, I don't know. It's up to you. I'll leave it there for a couple of days. If nobody says anything, then I'll just delete her and her account, make sure she never comes back again. I am harsh. I am the brutal truth. That's why the name of the show is called Axiom. It's indefinite truth. I'm not going to give you a CIA version of, lulling you to sleep with a fixed type of speech so that you believe everything I say, so that I can manipulate my wording, to get you to believe things that aren't true. That's what people with controlled speech do. That's what people with pretty speech do. They manipulate people with their speech. I, on the other hand, am all about honesty and truth. I laid out there, what you see is what you get. A lot of people are bothered by that because people who love to lie or put on a false image hate the truth. So that's why they don't like me. I couldn't care less. Really, I won't lose sleep over it. No, there's no point in ever sugarcoating anything. Thank you, Rochelle. God bless you guys for showing up on a Saturday morning. I wanted to give those comments, especially those two comments, a lot of credit. Susan Lee's especially, because it was so chock full of fact and personal experience. And on top of it, it actually shows without a doubt now that it is so absolutely probable that Mica was taken to where she was by boat. It's funny because I was going to look that up myself on all the boats in the area that they would probably use at that river, and if it was possible. But thank you, Susan. You just saved me a lot of work. Now, I just want to touch on a little bit of something that happened with the second video I did yesterday. There was a comment. Oh, wow. God bless. 2 a.m. in Australia. You are awesome. It's probably beautiful there too. Thank you for coming, by the way. Now, this is not to attack, because the churches have messed with our ability to learn God the way God wants us to learn him. And so when we learn what the actual word says, and it's something that was either never brought up in church or was the opposite was said in church, it's difficult to believe it. I have to implore you, if you ever hear anything about the word of God or about God that you don't understand or agree with, confirm it with God, confirm it with his word. That's the best way to get an answer. Now, this was in regards to tithing, a very, very touchy subject. Why? Because we're all going through a hard time. Who wants to part with their money when you're having a hard time paying bills? Nobody. If you happen to look at what tithing means, it's a form of worship and honor. Okay? It's not only mentioned in Malachi, it's mentioned throughout the word, and it's referred to as first fruits. Okay? The Lord expects the first fruits because it's honor. Jesus even says, render to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, which is when we pay taxes, and render to God what is God, which means he everything belongs to him, but all he's ever expected is first fruits, or to be honored with the first tenth. That moved into the modern day church, but it was abused. So because of the abuse of it, a lot of people don't want to do it at all. They say, well, I don't have to do this. Jesus, because I'm a Christian and Jesus saved me. He saved me. No, Jesus didn't come to get rid of the law. He came to fulfill it. Okay, so that doesn't mean that every single thing in the Old Testament, for example, it says a man's not to lay with a man. Are we now to say that homosexuality is okay because it was in the Old Testament that said a man doesn't lay with another man? It says not to lay with animals in the Old Testament. Are we now allowed to lay with our pets because it was in the Old Testament? I mean, there's got to be some common sense here. If you want to see the gospel spread, how do you think it's going to spread throughout the world? It's going to need help. It's going to need support. If you're willing to support, let's say, getting season football tickets, but not God, where is your heart? If you're willing to get, your nails done and your hair done, but you're not willing to honor God, where is your heart? He's not going to open up the windows of heaven like he promises for people who just says, well, I'd rather keep the money for myself. You have that freedom. Everyone has free will. But for the people who do honor God, and I gave you a testimony, the people who choose to honor God with their first fruits, and they look at it as a form of worship, which is exactly how we see it, there is blessing attached to it. So I just want you to know that. If you choose not to do it, then that's between you and God. But the people who do choose, Don't make it sound like it doesn't exist and it's not expected of us. It's there. Okay? It is expected. It's a form of worship, it's a form of honor. So I wanted to touch on that too. That was a comment in another video, but it is there. And again, if you don't agree or you don't believe or you don't understand, please go to the Lord in prayer and please go to the Word and look up first fruits, tithing, and offering and read it. So there's that. So really, honestly, I did want to come on and talk about what Susan Lee talked about. So I wanted to touch on those things, then we'll go back to what Susan Lee had said. So it's obvious that, going back to Mica, she could have been transported by boat. Absolutely. And it explains, and I'm not sure if I can do it again. I did do this in a video. I think it was Tuesday afternoon rather. You'll see a Google Earth map, and it shows how it goes along where the first ping was 1281 Princess Anne Road, and there's a creek behind that property, and then there's a road that goes along the creek called Anne Road. And that Anne Road, if you weren't at that show, I'm just explaining it to you. And that Anne Road literally goes across the creek in question. And she could have been very easily loaded onto any boat from that, that cross section of the road and the creek, which was only less than a mile away from where she was found at the slough. On top of that, and what I could do is I could redo it in front of you guys. If you want me to do it, just put a 1 in the chat and I will redo it. I will actually get up the Google Earth right now and do it in real time and show you how it actually fits coming from the gas station to where we believe, here comes the ones, where we believe she went to that Bethlehem AME to meet with J.G. Randall. And okay, that's enough ones for me. So let me go get it. Let me get it. Google Earth. Here it is. Okay, and let me put it on the other monitor. Oops. Okay, guys. Okay, now, oops. How do I get rid of this guy? No, stop it. How do I get rid of this, dear? Oh. Where is Google Earth? Oh, here it is. Here it is. I got it. Now I just need to share. Is this where it is? Screen share? Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, I see it. All right. Sorry, guys. Still learning. Add to stage. There we go, people. All right. So what started this was, let me get rid of this guy. What started all of this, here we are, 1281. This is 1281, Princess Anne Road. Okay, this was the first ping. And here's where Mica was found. Okay, right here. Let me get close to it. Here's where Mica's found. Here's the second ping. Okay, remember this circle here, second ping. So someone had said to me in the chat Tuesday morning, she said, look at Highway 74. Look at Highway 74. And I was like, why does she keep saying Highway 74? What is it about Highway 74? So I'm on this Google Earth thing, and wouldn't you know it, boom, here's Highway 74, right? And if you look at the vicinity, I couldn't believe how close this was to each other. Highway 74, here's the ping of Princess Anne Road, 1281 Princess Anne Road, the first ping. So I go and I look, and I'm like, okay, Highway 74, what is it about Highway 74? And sure enough, here's Anne Road. This is Anne Road. you can see it comes right off of 74. This is 130. So off of the highway, people are going to see the road 130. It's probably State Road 130 or something like that. But you have to get off of that. And locals probably are the only ones that know, here's Ann Road. Now you follow Ann Road, follow, follow, follow. And trust me, it's a dirt road. It is a dirt road, and it gets thinner as it goes down. And and believe it or not, it seems a lot longer than it is. It's only 6.5 miles. Okay, this is only 6.5 miles. Now, if you're looking at it here, this is Ann Road. This is the creek. This is 1281 Princess Anne Road. Right here, where the first ping was. And I'm going to explain a ping again. We talked about that yesterday. Now, they take her. It could be truck or ATV. We don't know yet. Some people had said to me, and you guys are so smart, you probably could find this for me, that an ATV could have a flatbed to where they could have transported her up to here. If you could find that for me and send that to me, that would be great, because I can't seem to find one. But either way, because there are houses here, it's probable that even a full-size pickup truck could go through here if they had to, right? So here now they load her onto one of these boats that Susan Lee mentions. Now from here to where she's found is less than a mile, probably 0.6 of a mile. Look up Gator Style ATV. Okay, I wasn't sure. Look, they do have a flatbed. One that would be big enough to put a bot. I guess so, if it's a Gator. Yeah. Okay, I'll look that up. Because the reason why I say that that's probable is because this road, I'm telling you, is thin and it's not paved. So even with the truck, I mean, that would be a real pain in the butt to drive. Okay. So now we've got this. And let me tell you something. Nobody's going to see a boat coming through here. And we've got the ping to her phone and watch. Now, I just showed you coming from Highway 74, right? Let's start from the beginning. 138, she leaves the gas station on 41. The AME church, the Bethlehem AME church, run by J.G. Randall, is 2 miles away. She could have gotten there at 139. It wouldn't have taken very long. But we'll say 140, okay? There's no traffic, but just to give the sake of time. We believe that this is where her life is taken. So even if they leave between 145 and 150, it's going to take them, okay, about 45 minutes, okay, traffic and whatnot. And some people have told me that are local in the area, it's very easy from 95 to get here. It's going to take about 45 minutes to get here at the beginning of Ann Road. Okay, so what time is that? That's 1:45, let's say, or 1:50, 2:30 to 2:35. They get here. Now you've got what, a 10-minute ride by whatever vehicle they choose to get here. So now where are we at? We're at 2:35, 2:45. Okay, and then they come around here. That's going to take less than 10 minutes. They get here about 2:50, right here at the slough. They drop her obviously face down into the water, throw a log on top of her, throw a purse in one spot and glasses in that spot, shoot off the weapon twice, leave the bullets on the ground, throw the gun in another area, take off, give the signal that they did what they had to do. 2:54, the phone call goes through. It was a plan put together, premeditated, not a good one, but it was put together, and there you go. And sure enough, this gives enough time This gives enough time as this 911 call is being made, as there's a response now of the law enforcement. Who knows what their ETA was? It could have been 5 minutes, but by that time, these guys are out of here. They're back here. They've loaded the boat onto whatever vehicle is there. You can't see. Let me show you what you're looking at. Let me show you what you're looking at here. Okay? This is the area where the boat and the truck would meet. You can't see diddly. And as Susan explained, it is hidden. You could be doing this naked. Nobody's going to see what you're doing. Okay? So they could have made this transition. They load the boat, they get into the truck, they get back on Ann Road, and they're out of here. Lickety split. They are gone on 74 to 95 back in Myrtle Beach. And so that is exactly how I think it happened. What type of ATV does the park or maintenance person have? I don't know. I don't know. Remember, across the street from where the first ping happened is where Tommy Walters, the maintenance man, lives. And there is a connection between Tommy Walters, Charles McKinnon, and Johnny Jacobs. They're all friends on Facebook. They're all friends with each other. And it's not a big town. Everybody knows everybody. No outside noise on the 911 call. That's right. JP does have an ATV, and I'm assuming, and again, I'm going to go look into it. If you guys know if these ATVs come with the flatbed, you have to remember this would be it has to be something that could be loaded on and off of a truck quickly. Otherwise, remember, he has a full-size pickup truck that he did a lot of changes to after Mike had passed away. And it also had a cover on the back. So it's not as if it's outlandish that he brought this truck to this point. It doesn't necessarily have to be an ATV. I know that this is part of the conversation, but let's not get hooked on that like we did Fair Bluff and Bear Bluff. You know what I mean? No, I don't think they'd still have his ATV. I don't think so. I don't know. I almost remember seeing him with a picture of it after they had taken off with it. So let's talk about the ping for a second. That came into question. I know this has been explained before, but for the people who weren't here for that show. So a ping is when the police or the provider, the service provider, sends out a signal to the phone. Hey, phone, where are you at? Where you at, phone? Tell me where you're at, okay? And they send out this signal. So the phone says, let me go back to where the phone was. The phone goes, here we are. I'm right here. Here I am. I'm located right here. It throws up its little phone hands and says, here I am. Okay. And when they did it again, that happened again by the slough, which is right here. Right here. Remember, right here is where it was. It wasn't here amongst where ATVs would be ridden. It wasn't here where the river is. It wasn't up here where all these other things. No, it was right here. This is where the phone said, here I am. This is my location. Now, does that mean some people may say, well, it could be in the vicinity? You're talking about marshland here. You're not going to see an ATV. Not that I'm aware of. And that's what Susan was saying. Riding an ATV doesn't make any sense in this area. You're looking at somebody who could possibly get stuck in this. Yet a boat is going to get them in and out undetected quickly. Again, I'm not saying an ATV is not used, but if it's going to be, it's going to be off of this road. Because this is not where they're going to get stuck. There's a probability of getting stuck. No, there was no birds chirping. There was nothing. Every person has gone to the river, no matter where they were. Whether they were over here or over here, it didn't matter. There was a lot of noise behind them of the river, of what was going on, the birds and whatever. Wind, something. When you listen to the 911 call of April 27th, and I'm going to throw this out there, I don't care who's listening, and you listen to the 911 call of July 7th, which is not Susie Skinner, doing a wellness check of John Paul Miller, and I have that on my shorts, just go look for it. There's a comparison. Not only do you hear the same voice, but you hear the same background. It sounds like somebody that's in a bubble or in a car or in something that's it's like sort of echoing, a small echo where the sound is bouncing off of something around them. There is no other sound around them. It's almost the same exact voice, same cadence, same breaks in the words, same breath between each word, same pronunciation in each word, same kind of speech pattern. Very, very similar. So, and this is someone that is close to John Paul, has known John Paul before Mica passed away. According to Jesus J, they've known each other for years. And Jesus J knows her as well. So, and that would be true crime rate. Now, if she's not the one on the 911 call, then the feds will be able to prove that. She'll have to get over it. This is my opinion. This is how I hear it. Okay? It's not, oh, let's go sue Ann because she said no. If you didn't want to be implicated, then you should have just stayed away from the case and not been an advocate for an abuser. You know, I love people. They open their mouth, they stick their foot in, and they get mad at us because we notice it. It's hysterical. I strongly believe that Mica was forced to listen to the 911 call before her demise. That would be JP's checkmate to her. I don't see where that would be possible. That's not Mica on the phone. Even her own family and friends say that's not her. So I don't know why he would force her to listen to it. I don't think there was any time for that. I believe she left thinking she was going to work. Her father clearly said in one or two interviews that she went to the pawn shop to get a weapon because she wanted protection. Why? Because her abusive husband just got served 2 days before divorce papers and a protection order. And because he's a narcissist, she had no clue how he was going to respond to those things. So she's getting protection on the way to work. She gets a text message that lures her probably to sign divorce papers and just get out of this nut job relationship and marriage. And that's what drives her over to the gas station, thinking she's got enough time to just sign the papers, and ends up losing her life. Yes, it was spring, and we should have heard a lot more birds being active. So I agree with that. So why did JJ change cars? I don't know why JJ or Johnny Jacobs did anything. Okay. Good, bad, or indifferent, this guy changed his story in every single solitary interview. It was said after his passing the next day by people in his sister's chat when she had announced his death on Facebook, and which was very sad. I feel very bad for his family. It's still a loss no matter how you look at it. And these people did nothing wrong and they're grieving. But the truth of the matter is, somebody in that chat who knows them, she's a friend or family, said that he was very scared for months before he passed away because he has been threatened by that pastor in South Carolina, which would be John Paul Miller. Why would John Paul Miller feel the need to threaten this man? For what reason? How was he a threat? I'll tell you how he was a threat. He knew more than he told us. He knew what happened to Mica. JP didn't like that. And that made him a potential federal witness that would have spoken up against him in court. So like what they do with most people, they silence or they try to silence anyone who opposes them. They tried to silence me. They just try anyway, whether they can do it legally or they can do it physically, one way or another, they're going to try to silence anyone. When I say they, I mean the Millers and his flying monkeys. That's what they do. He was a risk. JJ was a risk for JP. That's absolutely true. And so I just laid it out for you. And this is why Susan Lee felt compelled. Why? Because this theory, if that's what you want to call it, which the feds were actually interested in hearing, was somebody was trying to debunk it. It's a content creator. And not because, I don't think because she's a mean person or horrible person. I think it's because a lot of people like this flying monkey that came into the chat, they go back and forth in between content creators trying to debunk what they hear, that they're not able to think outside the box. They're unable to critically think. So because they're unable to critically think, they want everybody else to be that way. So they'd rather debunk the actual truth of the matter and things that have been investigated and looked into and able to be proven, rather than learn how to think critically and outside of the box, because that's too uncomfortable for them. It's a very selfish way to be. And so this woman who came into my chat and said this about Barbara, and Barbara herself, would rather just make me feel like I'm wrong, instead of the person who tried to debunk every single one of the parts of this video, not this video, but the one that I talked about this earlier this week, and not giving anything in turn to prove it. If you're going to debunk this theory, then do it with fact. Show me where you have proof or evidence that is able to prove it's not true. Did she come down by a UFO? Was she teleported there? Give me an idea of how you believe she got there. Not with opinion. I don't want to hear opinion. I want to hear fact. Susan Lee gave facts. The pings are facts. Okay? The fact that Mica was left there on that afternoon, passed away with a GSR, is a fact. Or a GSW is a fact. We're dealing with facts here. The fact that she left the gas station at 1:38, same afternoon, and then 2:54, that 911 call that all of us know doesn't sound real. Facts. Fact, down the line. So giving your opinion to be able to try to debunk somebody is not necessary in any of this. It really isn't, because you're not helping justice for Mica. Okay, I don't know what somebody's intention is, but it's definitely not for Mica when that happens. So there you go. Why didn't the FBI protect Johnny Jacobs is my question. We don't know. You know, Carrie, we really don't know. They won't allow the dash cam to be released. I went to the North Carolina Highway Patrol the following week when the incident report was released. I filed an authentic FOIA, okay, with them. So it wasn't like I just called them and said, hey, can I get the dash cam? I actually did a FOIA request for the dash cam. And they said I was going to have to go to the county, what was the court, Superior Court, to get an order. I said, no, I don't. This is a federal law here, Freedom of Information Act. And he comes back and says to me, well, that's federal. We're state. We don't have to answer to federal. Really? When did that happen? Was there a change in the Constitution? I don't remember any of that happening. So he just doesn't want to give it. And that makes me think they're hiding something. If they weren't hiding something, they would have given the dash cam. Just like Amber Birbiglia. They gave the dash cam and they thought nothing of it. And the police were totally were totally unprofessional in that dash cam. And yet they gave it. They gave it out. So I don't understand it. So they may be hiding something. Nobody really has any proof that Johnny Jacobs did not go into WITSEC. So, yeah, for all we know, the feds could have him in protection, Just Robin says. And I hope they do, because I think it would be a beautiful thing to see, you know, John Paul Miller sitting in federal court, and here comes Johnny Jacobs walking out as a federal witness. I think that John Paul Miller would poop his pants. You know, I really believe that. And I think one day we'll find out. I don't know if we're going to be allowed to see that. See, I don't know how federal court operates. So I don't know if we're going to be able to have cameras in there. It's a very big case. It's well known. It's national. I think even global at this point. We've got somebody here from Australia. So it's not as if it's not high profile, but I don't know what I don't know if it's up to the judge or if it's how it runs. I'm just not aware. I have been trying to get a press pass to see if maybe I can get in. But again, I don't even know if press is going to be allowed in. So, yeah, his eyes would be as big as silver dollars. That would be hysterical. Yeah, he would definitely have a hard time with that. But again, this would still be Johnny Jacobs sacrificing himself in a sense, because he'd never be able to be with his family again. He'd never be able to live in the area where he was born and raised again. So either way, it's a loss for him and his family, no matter how you look at it. But for John Paul Miller and his actions, this is another person who's had to take a massive lifelong loss. So the family still grieves no matter what the circumstances. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you. Please, if you see Susan Lee in the comments, give her a big hug and say thank you for your facts and thank you for your critical thinking. God bless you, Susan Lee. I appreciate you more than I could ever imagine and ever express. It is uncovering the corruption. Welcome, Tracy. There's my co-host. This case is very high profile. But circuit courts are very open to allowing the cameras in and the press in and whatever, but I don't know how federal. Did I lose audio? Oh boy. No, I don't. I see it's still working. If you don't, I can't tell you. Somebody please type to her and tell her that to leave and come back in. Unless you guys can't hear me. I see my voice moving. So anyway, so there we go. That's the explanation again. Sounds fine. Okay. Just like Carrie Ann know to go back in and go back out. Maybe that'll help her. Anyway, there you go. Susan Lee gave an excellent explanation on how, they would be very strict. Yeah. And so God only knows how that's going to go. See, I don't know how other cases, I guess I could just look it up and see how other federal cases were handled. Ghislaine Maxwell. Wasn't that federal? I know people got in. I don't think they were able to take pictures, but I think they were able to at least be there with the press and write stories about what was happening. So that might be, I don't think cameras will be able to get in. So unfortunately, and that was a high profile case by far. So anyway, thank you guys for joining me. I love clarification. I believe that gave us a lot of clarification. Thank you for helping me with this case also. You guys have been a great help. Thank you for your support. And I'm sure I'll be back. Who knows? I might be back with something new. But until I am, stay safe and God bless.